2 continents, 1 narrow stretch of water, and 1 decision that would change Europe forever. In 711 AD, a Muslim general named Tariq ibn Ziyad loaded 7,000 soldiers onto ships at the African shore and pointed them towards Spain. The crossing took hours. The Rock of Gibraltar grew larger with every passing minute. What waited on the other side? The entire Visigoth Kingdom of Spain. Tariq had crossed seas before, but never like this. Never with everything at stake. He stood at the prow and did not look back. When his soldiers stepped onto the Spanish shore, they planted their banners in European soil for the first time in history. And then, Tariq did something that stunned every man on that beach. He ordered the ships burned. All of them. Every single one. With the fleet turning to ash behind him, he turned to his 7,000 soldiers and said words that history never forgot. The sea is behind you. The enemy is before you. You have nothing but what your swords can take. There was no going back. There had never been any going back. The army marched north, into Spain, into history. The Visigoth Kingdom of Spain had ruled the Iberian Peninsula for 300 years. Their king, Roderick, commanded an army that dwarfed everything Tariq had brought across the water. When Roderick received the first reports, a small Muslim force had landed at Gibraltar. He was not afraid. He should have been. He mobilized his full army. Estimates range from 25,000 to 100,000 men, against 7,000. The mathematics seemed simple. Tariq received the intelligence. He looked north at what was coming. He looked south at the smoke of his burned ships. He did not hesitate. The 2 armies met near the Guadalquivir River, the Battle of Guadalete, the battle that would decide the fate of an entire continent. Roderick was confident. His army was enormous. His cavalry was powerful. His nobles, supposedly, were loyal. They were not. Tariq led from the front. He always led from the front. The man who burns his ships has no reason to hide at the back. The battle began. The Muslim force, fighting with the desperation of men who cannot retreat, hit the Visigoth line with extraordinary ferocity. And then, something happened that Roderick never anticipated. His own nobles, jealous rivals who wanted him destroyed, withdrew their forces from both flanks. Mid-battle, Tariq saw the gap. He did not hesitate. He charged directly into the exposed center. The Visigoth formation collapsed like a wall with its foundation removed. The rout was total. One of the most complete military collapses in medieval history. The Visigoth army, which had outnumbered Tariq many times over, simply ceased to exist as a fighting force. King Roderick tried to rally his men. They ran past him. He was last seen riding toward the river. He was never seen again. Muslim crescent banners rose across the Spanish battlefield. The Visigoth Kingdom, 300 years old, had ended in a single afternoon. Tariq looked north. All of Spain lay open before him. No army stood between him and the rest of the peninsula. He marched. City after city fell. Seville, Cordoba, the Visigoth capital Toledo, surrendered without a fight. An entire kingdom, conquered by a force that started with 7,000 men and no ships. The speed of the conquest was staggering. Within 3 years, almost the entire Iberian Peninsula was under Muslim control. When Tariq entered Toledo, the capital of the Visigoth Kingdom, the most powerful city in Iberian history, the gates opened before him. The kingdom was gone. The news reached Damascus. It reached the Frankish courts. It reached Rome. The message was the same everywhere it landed. Spain had fallen. Islam had arrived in Europe. What rose in its place was Al-Andalus. For nearly 700 years, the most advanced civilization in medieval Europe. Libraries, observatories, mathematics, medicine, all of it, born from one burning fleet on a Spanish beach. But Tariq was already looking north, beyond Spain, beyond the Pyrenees, at France, at all of Europe. The man who burned his ships was not finished. The Muslim advance crossed the Pyrenees, drove deep into France, and came within one battle of changing the entire history of Europe, the Battle of Tours, 732 AD, 21 years after one general burned his ships on a Spanish beach. They said Spain could never be crossed by such a small force. In 711 AD, a general who burned his boats crossed it anyway, built a civilization, and came within one battle of changing the world entirely. The legend of Tariq ibn Ziyad was still only beginning.